Welcome to the NeedleBugg, and my name is Karen, and I am so glad that you're joining me today. Today is Saturday, August the 13th, and it is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A little late recording today. I wanted to do this a little earlier, but things be as things are. We're just getting to it today. So I do thank all of you for stopping by. And today I thought I would show you what I have been working on for about the past month. And then we'll have a little bit of a stitch with me so that we can spend some time stitching together. Okay, so what have I been working on? Well, as a lot of you who have been following my channel for a while know that I have I signed up to participate in the Stitching the Situation project. And for those of you that are new to the channel, what that project is there is a panel being stitched for every day of the pandemic. And what each panel will record is the number of deaths on that day, and then the number of newly diagnosed cases on that day. So there's going to be a huge project because there's a panel for every day. Some of the panels aren't so big. Some of the panels are up to 800,000 stitches. I kind of got lucky and my panel 37,832 stitches in my. So that's not too bad. That's something that hopefully I can stitch in a reasonable amount of time. So the deal with it is they have a square designated on each panel, and the outline, the borders of it are already marked for you, so you don't have to count out all those stitches. And the square that is the number of deaths is marked out, and that has to be done in red or shades of red. I'm doing my box just all red. I'm not going to put a design in there. And then the bulk of the piece, which is the number of newly diagnosed people, you can be as creative or not as creative as you want. Some people are doing, wow. The designs in there have just made me go, wow. If you don't feel that creative, you can stitch the whole thing blue. Or I think some people are just randomly picking shades of blue and placing them wherever and have it come out like a crazy quilt kind of thing or a mosaic kind of thing. I chose to dedicate mine to the nurses who have done a phenomenal job during all of this time. Being a retired nurse and knowing that a lot of times nurses are so underappreciated for what they do. I felt that they needed the recognition for everything they have done during the pandemic. So I charted out a saying, and hopefully you can read it. It's to our nurses. Thank you for your dedication and commitment to the nurse's oath. On September 19th, 2021, 302 souls took a piece of our hearts. We carried on caring for the 37,533 newly diagnosed. You're to be commended for your dedication and the sacrifices you made during this. So I'm going to do that in the same color as the border, and then I will be filling in the background with another shade of blue. And to be honest, I forgot what shade I picked at the moment. Right here, I can tell you. So my colors are And this was designated 802. Here we go. 802 will be my border and letter color. And then 809 is what I will fill in the background with. I actually wanted it to be just a smidge lighter. However, I went with the 809 because, first of all, you have to stitch it with 3 strands of floss. It's on 14 count, and it's 3 strands of floss. And it was like, oh my lands. I am not a 2 strand of floss stitcher, let alone a 3 strand of floss stitcher, but it's okay. It's for something special, so I will do it. However, my thought is that's going to take one heck of a lot of thread. So I went and purchased from DMC the big, not the $20 cone. What is it, $50 or $60? That has, I can't remember how many yards of thread are on it, but I kind of figured if I have to use three strands, this is going to be a thread hog. Absolutely going to be a thread hog. So I went for the largest amount that I could get because I figured I was going to have to, if I bought skeins, it was going to cost me probably more than that. So far, and see how, look how stiff this fabric is. But that's okay. It's, it's, it's okay. Hopefully, let me try and put some paper behind this so you can see at least what I have done. So far I have, here we go. I have stitched the square here, and this is the number of deaths. So I'm working on the wording. I'm going to do a double row. I might even do 3 rows of the dark blue for the border around it. And then I'll do the words in the dark blue and then work on filling in the rest of the letters or the rest of the same wording with the dark blue and then fill in the background with the lighter. So that's how far I am. There is no time limit for when this has to be done. Thank God. So since we all know that stitching with 3 strands is not my go-to, and this is rather stiff fabric that, oh, as much as I want to do it and I enjoy doing it, I know that it's for a wonderful cause, and I'm happy to see that someone has taken up the project. I kind of at times have to force myself to work on it. So what I have committed to doing is, and there's no deadline, so remember that there's no deadline, is I try to do at least 1 strand every day, probably in the evening, and more if my finger doesn't get sore from pushing the needle through this fabric with 3 strands. Because I am doing it, I'm not sticking and stabbing, I am doing the sewing method, which is why it's rolled up like this, because I'm giving stitching mama her way of holding fabric and sewing a try. So yeah, it's a little hard on the finger to push the needle through stiff 14 count and then have 3 strands of floss. But that's the project. The information for the project I will put in the drop down box. so that if anybody's interested in joining and stitching along, or stitching a piece, there I will put the contact information there so that you can contact, I want to say Heather. Um, I'm sure she's still looking for people to commit to doing a block, and you can say what kind of block what size block you're interested in doing. There is a question when you sign up. Do you mind doing a big block, or do you want something smaller or middle size? You can pretty much request what you want to do. So that is the nice thing. The other nice thing is, say you get the block that has 700,000 or 800,000 people on it. You or Yeah, 700,000 or 800,000 people that were newly diagnosed on it. So that's probably bigger than a heaven and earth design. But you can collaborate with other people so that if you wanted to set it up as a round robin type thing and pass it between friends or internet friends or whatever, that can be done. I know Carla, Carla Craft. Oh, what is her channel name? Crafting with Carla. My goodness, drawing a blank. Anyway, she is the one that I heard about it from, and she has a piece that has quite a large number of stitches, and she's asking her subscribers if they would like to help stitch on it. Put like some of them maybe just want to have to or would be asked to pick a motif and put it on, and it can be done just randomly. People put on it what they would like to contribute, and then certain people would fill in the background. That's certainly an option. The other option is, pardon me, if you have a large piece and you, for some reason, decide you don't want to finish that that piece, or you can't finish that piece for whatever reason. I mean, say someone gets sick, you can send it back to Heather, and then she will actually quarantine it for a number of days, and then she will redistribute it to someone else to finish. So, there's options so that if you have one of those gymongous pieces, um, you don't have to feel like, oh my God, I'll never be able to get this done. There's options there to get people to help you, or to complete as much as you can complete and then send it back and let someone else finish it. And maybe that happens a few times with a particular piece, but she's quite okay with that. So that's an option. So that's one of the things I'm working on. And the only other thing I've stitched in the last couple weeks, yeah, I stitch on anything else except, and I'll just turn this around that you can see. I can just hold the fabric up and back so that I have it on my stand because this is stitch on. Is never get it right for these cameras. There, there we go. My autumn church frame. Okay, so this is all the farther I've gotten. I have 6,063 stitches completed. Yeah. So that's what I will stitch on today for a little bit of a stitch with me. Now, oh, you guys, you're probably going, Karen. Yeah. Karen, we see. Did you notice? Do you see it? Did you see it? Did you notice? What did I tell you about the last time we were together? Oh, I'm going to stitch my rows vertically instead of horizontally because I want to check out, do you get lines if you stitch your rows vertically instead of horizontally going down the diagonal? Well, I finished one. I finished one diagonal. I didn't see any line. And I said, oh, good Lord, I have enough of this. I can't do it. I can't deal with these threads. I just can't. And I know, I hear you all. I hear you all laughing at me, going, yep, we'd have bet money on that one and won. I just, no. And I'll tell you what, if I'm going to stitch on the diagonal, I just want to stitch across 10. But I prefer to go horizontally, top to bottom, because in my head, I can manage those threads better. If I have to find in between park threads where to park something, if I'm working horizontally, top to bottom, it's easier for me to find where that thread goes. All my threads off to the side like that, when you're stitching vertical rows, and so you're stitching your vertical row, and then all your threads are this way, I could not deal with that. I could not. I could not find the places where I had to park a thread. And I know it's the same. Well, it's the same, but it's different. It's the same, but in getting between all those other threads. I'm going to pull my camera over here and we're going to start just to, may have to. Okay. I'm going to switch my pages here. Hang on. I'll be right back. There we go. So I may have to adjust here a bit. We'll work up here. We'll work in. But yeah, when all my threads were hanging over this way, I just had a hard time figuring out where things had to park. And no, guys, I did not take the friction pen off yet. I will. That is up for to be done maybe this afternoon yet. I have to heat up the iron. So yeah, we will do that. So we're going to work in here. So I just don't know if I want to stay on the diagonal or if I just want to pick like a 3x3 section and stitch it. And then another, and work either across or down or whatever, or fill in the page or whatever. I can't make up my mind. Just can't make up my mind. What is wrong with me? A little whacked in the head. Um, we'll go back to, forget I have you on. We'll go back to I'm just thinking I might just, I don't want to park. I just no. I'm just having such a hard time. I think I want to in my head I want to, but once I'm doing it, it's like I can't. I can get I can get it started, I can get it converted, I can get into a diagonal or into parking, and I can spend a day or two doing that, and then I start working with it and I go, yeah, I just can't do it. It's making me a little nuts. And I should know better. I really should know better, and I don't know why I do that to me. Because I see other people stitching that way, and I thought, oh yeah, I kind of miss it. I do kind of miss it. Yeah, it has a lot of awesome advantages. Uh, you don't have to go back and fill in these stitches, and it's really your stitches look neater. Although with the ballpoint pen, yeah, stitching with a ballpoint pen, a gentle. No, with a ballpoint needle, I really don't notice much of a difference between stitching one row at a time or across a row at a time versus using the ballpoint. So I'm quite okay with stitching by color. And thought even occurred to me. I don't know that it's too scary for me to think about, do I want to do extreme cross? But then and that gets scary. That gets scary for me. But if you miscount and then you counted off of that miscount, and then your whole piece is messed up, then what? I mean, yeah, people say, oh, if I find a wrong stitch, I just stitch over it. Well, yes, I have done that too. Don't get me wrong. I have done that and I don't have a problem doing it. But if I have to do it for hundreds of stitches, I don't think I want to do that. Gosh, crazy. Light a little better, folks. Not washing out too much for you. Okay, well, so I guess I'll just keep sticking with my go-to and stitch the way I stitched for years. And that is just pick an area, fill it all in, move to the next area, fill it all in, and just keep working through the. So basically, cross country, except I'm not crossing the whole. Do you know how big this is? Oh my goodness. I have it on a yard of fabric. A yard of fabric being 36 by 44. 22 count, because the stitch count is something in the neighborhoods of 700 by 425. So what did I figure? To have it finished in 3 years, I have to do something like 400 or 500 stitches a day. Yeah. I think that's going to happen. Well, most days, but and actually it depends on uh, the number of color changes within that area. There we go. Um, if it's a section that the colors are pretty solid color, like a big section of one color, well, then you can get a lot done. But if it's not, and it takes a while when you got to be changing threads. Speaking of changing threads, here is still my dilemma. I really like this floss anthology system. I really, really do like it because it's very much like uh, floss tags. But my issue still continues to be how to deal with these leftover threads. Now, if you remember, I did put this sticky felt on each page. So I have to stick my needle through that. And then I go up and around where it goes into the channel where the number goes in. And then I got to come down and stick through it again. And that's okay. But let me see if I can I'll put it under this camera. Okay. So, ooh, where is it here? Oh no, I'm stuck to my magnet. Oh no. Okay, here we go. So, okay, it goes through there like this, but I still have these ends hanging out here. And then what happens is you're going to get another thread and you catch on these and pull them out. Or not all the way out, but part way out. And then eventually all the way out. And then you don't know what color it is. And it's annoying. And I don't know how to resolve the issue of what to do with any leftover thread. Now, I guess I could lark's head it up on the top here where the thread comes out of the top of the channel. But then that gets even more time consuming when you need to get that thread off of there. It is a dilemma. So, if you guys have any suggestions on systems that you like, and I'm not looking to just change my whole thread organization. I'm just looking for the thread that I'm using for a particular project. Like this design, this Heaven and Earth design is like 89 or 90 colors. So how do you deal with those 90 colors? I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to box. I'm just not, don't particularly want to wrap bobbins. I'd rather be able to, first of all, thread my needle. But I'd rather be able to just somehow deal with putting the floss in or on something and then being able to just pull one strand at a time because one strand is what I work with. And then be able to deal with that one strand in a manner that it isn't flopping all over the place. So, what do all of you folks use? If you go in the right, where did you see what I did? I was talking to a friend of mine about, and I cannot remember what they were called. It was not floss away bags, but it was a bag, a plastic bag that you slipped your whole skein in, and you pulled the end out of that bag so that you could just keep pulling out of there what you needed. But again, I'm not sure what you did with any extra that you had to put back. I think another friend of mine was using them, but I think what I'm thinking of, Jan Hicks was also using it one time, but I can't remember what they were called. And I thought, well, is that something to try? But again, what do you do with the extra pieces? Normally, and I'm the first to admit this, people that have to pay, like you guys do in Europe, a small fortune for your DMC, probably going, oh my God, the horrors. But I'm a thread waster. And if I don't have a very big piece left, I'm not going to save it. If that piece is only 4, 5 inches, I'm not going to save it. I throw it. Yeah, I could get some more stitches out of it. But for me, that's more of a hassle than to just pull a whole new strand of cloth. And like I said, here, plus by comparison, is not that expensive. My friend and I just ran up to Hobby Lobby last night, and she's going to do this same project. And she had about half the threads, and she needed to get the rest of them. So I said, well, let's take a ride and go up and get them. And we did. They were 57 cents. And that's their everyday price. And I know in some other countries you're paying 3 times that. So to do a heaven and earth design gets really pretty expensive. That's when we were talking about and looking at different storage systems. Like I said, I do like this one. It's not that I don't like it. I do really like it. I just don't like not being able to have a way to manage the leftover floss when I have a piece big enough that I want to save. If I have to start a strand of floss and only do maybe 3 or 4 stitches, yeah, I'm going to save that. But if I started a new strand of floss and I maybe have 4 inches left, or even 5 or so, I'm not going to save that. It's not, like I said, it's not worth it. I don't like that. Bring on the, don't bring, we won't fudge it. All do perfect. And we fudge things. It's okay. There's no rules, remember? No rules. Do as you wish. Ooh, which just had a fleeting thought and now sometime. Oh, I want to thank you all for your responses as to your preferences for the Stitch with Me's. You want them with talking or with music or recorded or live or all of that. And the overwhelming response was don't just do music. The overwhelming response was either pre recorded like this or a live stream. So, my friends, that is what we will do. Absolutely what we will do. So, that's why you are getting this one pre recorded with talking, no music. I may try someone. I wish I could remember who it was. I should write these things down. Someone suggested to do a recording like this and then use it on a live stream. Like play the recording or just record the stitching, okay? And no talking. And just record the stitching. And then when I go live, let me know what you think about this. Then when I go live, you can watch the stitching, but I can also sit and talk to you guys without having to concentrate on what I'm stitching so that we can still have a conversation, but you can still see me stitch. That may be another good idea. So if I may try that. I intend on posting this one, so um, it won't be this one. I have to look at my calendar to see when I can do a live. Monday, I have a doctor's, well, no, physical therapy appointment, other things to get done. So that's out. But hopefully, one day next, do a live during the day or on a Wednesday. I have to see what's going on and see when we can get a live in. But I will post it so that you all know ahead of time when it will. He knows. Why does that always happen? So, what else do I have to tell? Much else. Oh, hmm. My camera issue. I was looking and still am looking to replace this Brio and get a camera because to use my phone, I have to do what they call screen mirror to use my phone, and then the picture I don't feel is as good. So I was looking to replace replace this Brio. So I have already looked at 2 cameras, sent them back because they didn't zoom in like I wanted it to be able to do stitch with me and to be able to show you how to do certain things. I need camera to get up close and personal so that you guys can actually see the fabric threads and the stitches, or how else will you know what to do? Well, like I said, I've been through 2 cameras already. Now, the first one I sent back because I thought it was the camera that wasn't giving a clear picture. And after I sent it back, the thought occurred to me, it may not have been the camera at all. It may have just been the HDMI capture card. So that's a card that you attach that changes the signal from the camera into a signal that the computer can read and then puts that picture on the screen. So it may have been that the card was not working correctly. But anyway, that camera went back because I didn't like the picture I was getting. Wasn't was too fuzzy, it wasn't clear, it just didn't suit, because if I'm going to show how to do stitches and what have you, I need to have a good picture. I mean, this one's okay, but it really it really could be better or clearer. It still, to me, looks a bit fuzzy. Well, then I ordered and got another cat, which, from things I was reading on Amazon reviews, blah blah blah, I thought would work. And when it got here, it didn't have what they call a clean HDMI output. What that means is that on the screen, um, if I was to project the picture from the camera on the screen, you know how a lot of your digital cameras or your DSLR cameras have all those little icons around the outside of the LCD screen on the camera, like the whole outside has little icons all around it. And then you have in the center the square where your picture focuses. Well, I couldn't remove that. So that if I was to use that camera, you were going to see all of that on the screen. Now, I am sure if I was showing you how to do something, all that stuff you wouldn't want to see. So that camera is now up to the UPS store on Monday. So that's 2 down. So now I'm going to decide. I need to decide what I want to do. So, any of you out there that videos or YouTube videos do floss tube and need to get your stuff up close, if you wouldn't mind letting me know what you use to do that. I know some people use their phone, and that's all well and good, except I found that I have to, like, I screen mirror my tablet onto here to show the chart while we're doing a stitch with me. For me to use my phone up here as the camera to record, to shoot down here on my stitching, I also have to screen mirror. So that means I don't, it all goes over Wi-Fi and it gets fuzzy. I'm not satisfied with that pic, with how it comes through onto the screen. So if any of you have any great, fine, and wonderful suggestions for that, I would certainly be very, very appreciative if you could just shoot me a comment and let me know what device you are using, whether it be a webcam, a camera, or a camcorder. Because I'm looking to do something different. I mean, this is okay. I just think it could be a bit better and a bit clearer. And maybe it's just being too. And you can let me know that too. Not only am I a fickle pickle, I can be fussy when it comes to stuff. I want it to be right for you guys. That's the whole. So, wow. How did I get to 50 minutes already? I don't know where. So, with that though, folks, I think I'm going to call it a day because here it is just about 3 o'clock. So we'll have things we have to to yet this afternoon. So I'm going to call it and say I will catch you all next. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I hope where you are it's cooler like it is here. It finally cooled off a bit today. So wonderful not to be in that awful, awful heat. And I know there are people out there who are still uh, having issues with heat. So, stay cool, get some stitching done. Have an awesome weekend. And you know the drill, folks. The only rules in cross stitch are the ones you make for yourself. So I will see you next time. Bye bye.